Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom: The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
This is the Dragon's Lair, in association with the Riverside Sports Bar Newport, an American-style bar with a proper Welsh feel.
Hello and welcome to the Dragon's Lair podcast in association with Riverside Sports Bar, the home of live sport and great food in Newport. I'm Jamie and joining me is Gavin Thomas. Hello Gavin, how are we?
Very well, very well. Don't think we've got a lot to talk about tonight, do we?
It's going to be a quiet one this week. It's going to be a quiet one. I wish. And still waiting for a victory pod appearance is Gareth Leclerc. He's back with us. How are we doing, Gareth?
Yeah, all good. Good to be on. And yeah, going to have to wait until the first game of next season, I think. But hopes are high for then, as always.
Yep, absolutely. So hope that kills you, though, as they say. Right, let's get into it. 'Cause like I said, we have got a very busy pod. And this is going to be our last pod of the season, and we've got a lot to get through. So let's look at what happened on Saturday. As expected, tough afternoon for the Dragons. Bulls 55, Dragons 15. It was, of course, the 17th straight defeat in the league for the men of Gwent. But there is context to this. Of course, Dragons had a whopping 22 players unavailable. They were literally down to the bare bones. So much so that they had to call upon Carmarthen Quins hooker Lewis Morgan and Llandovery Lucid Jamie Hughes to be replacements. So semi-pro players playing at altitude against the best team in South Africa. Just let that sink in for a moment. Having said that, and I know this is going to sound slightly absurd given the scoreline, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It honestly wasn't. I know that might sound strange to a lot of people. Yes, we had 55 points put on us, but look, that was a team of semi-pros and kids against... It wasn't a full-strength Bulls team, but they went strong. Jake White, he kept the likes of LaRue. They had a lot of good players there. And I honestly thought, I said it on the pod last week, and I said it on the group chat, I thought it was going to be a record defeat of around 70-odd points. I thought we were going to get absolutely destroyed. We were well beaten, but it wasn't quite as bad as what I thought. Gareth, let's come to you then first. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, I think...
sorry.
Sorry. I thought you said Gareth.
I did say Gareth. I did say Gareth.
It's all right. I've gone deaf in my old age.
Yeah, do you know, I echo what you're saying. I think it was better than I thought. I thought we were going to go to South Africa and concede 150 points over 2 games.
Yeah.
And we put up a fight. I think there is a lack of quality in that side. And, that is down to injuries in some part. I think there's players out there giving a lot of effort, but they're maybe not ready. Maybe they will have the quality one day. So it's really like, it's not to blame for them. I hope it's a good learn for them. I think that the players are playing for Philo. I think we actually showed a lot of fight. We didn't concede in the last 10 minutes, which was really good for us, I think. When that's a plus out of a game, it's not ideal, but not conceding the last 10 minutes. We actually scored a try. we were still taking the game to them a little bit. I think we just lacked the quality. I think we did show a bit of fight. It's not an easy place to go with a good squad, let alone a squad absolutely decimated by injuries. So relatively pleased with it in that sense. It's still not an enjoyable watch. Varied our game a bit, start to go down the short side a little bit more, which is better to conserve energy, especially when we're getting run around the pitch by their loose forwards. So played a little bit smart, I thought. Again, we leave points off the tee out there, which is frustrating. Not that it'd be a contest, but when you're talking about making the scoreline look respectable, that is frustrating. It's been a problem all season.
Yeah.
But yeah, the effort was there, and going into this tour of South Africa, that's all I wanted. So in those terms, relatively pleased and glad it's over. The suffering has ended.
Yes, the pain and suffering, the nightmare season has come to an end, thank goodness. But yeah, you're absolutely right about the goal kicking. O'Brien and his goal kicking was way off, wasn't there?
So do you think on that? So we've had problems with all our kickers this season, and someone like Will Reed, his kicking for Newport's fantastic. He's banging them over. Do you think it's fatigue? Because we're so up against it in games and we're defending more than we're attacking, fatigue's going to set in. Do you think that has a part to play in it? Because I can't put my finger on it. O'Brien is a capable kicker. Yeah. But anyone who's kicked for us this season has struggled. Lloyd Evans the same.
Yeah. I just think O'Brien and Lloyd Evans are average kickers. I don't think they're 65% guys. Yeah. And yesterday, I've been reliably informed the ball does move differently at altitude.
Right, because like I said, their goal kicking attempts, they didn't just miss, they were way off. Yeah. They were nowhere near.
Well, according to the very loud South African man who was laughing at me when I was watching it on my phone whilst watching the cup final, was telling me that if you strike it, you have to strike it differently because of the altitude.
Okay.
This is a half-drunk bloke on a rugby club veranda. I don't know how accurate it is, but apparently that is the case, that stuff does move differently at altitude.
I mean, but we know we're playing there, though, so we should be adjusting to it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you would hope for a bit of practice in. That's why we went there early.
Yeah.
So it's been a problem all season, isn't it? Like, we talk about it at altitude, fine, but even a Rodney Parade, we can't seem to nail our
and it has cost us. It did
against Ulster, definitely.
Yeah.
Ulster game.
And one of the home games against which I can't remember which South African side it was.
Yeah, it was either going to be Sharks or Lions.
It was a Lions game, wasn't it? I think it cost us as well. And I totally agree with Gareth. It was, and yourself, it wasn't a bad performance. Yeah, they were much better than us.
Of course they were.
But we put a bit of fight in, and we left points out there frustratingly. When Rodri has stolen that ball and broken in field and put it to Angus O'Brien, and he's got a free man overlap.
Yeah.
And runs into contact. I howled. I was ow! But yeah, I think we played some decent red. The scrum, that was going back in time at times, wasn't it?
But we knew that was going to happen. That was painful to watch. Poor old Chris Coleman. Oh, he had an absolute showing at scrum time.
He got schooled, didn't he? Yeah.
But he just kept flopping to the ground. They said on comms he just couldn't handle the weight and the pressure, and he just kept collapsing. It was on his side as well, just collapsed.
After about the third time it happened, I was trying to look if it was to do with bind. And the South African guy's bind was a bit short, but it wasn't illegal. I think it was exactly right. Chris Coleman could not deal with the pressure and the drive going on in that scrum. And
Thank God we're getting some props in.
Well, I think Gareth hit the nail on the head. There's lots of guys who tried really hard yesterday, but they're just not at that level.
No, they're not. We scored some nice tries.
Yeah.
Those 3 tries. Lovely pass from Rodri, floated over the top for Hugh Anderson.
Very nice.
Rodri took his try very well. That chip and chase beat Willie LaRue for pace.
Yeah.
And then that maul. It's always nice to see. Driving maul. Fair play to Lewis Morgan. Done Carmarthen Quins proud. Came on the field for seconds and then scored. He looks a decent player, doesn't he? I know we didn't see much of him, but
No,
for a
he
semi-pro
got
guy,
himself around the field, didn't he?
yeah, I thought it was good. Apparently, Jamie Hughes, the Llandovery Lou said he broke a bone in his hand. He carried on playing.
Oh, what a boy.
So fair play to him. Yeah, that's what Chris Curran said in his article. So credit to the semi-pro guys in tough conditions. You know, like I said, playing at altitude, semi-pro against the best team in South Africa. They thought they acquitted themselves reasonably well. But yeah, it was a tough game. I don't sure I got anything more to say on it. I mean, it would have been nice for that try to have stood Ashton Hewitt. That would have been a nice way for him to have bowed out.
Yeah,
But
that's a shame.
that pass was forward for me,
Yeah.
Anderson. I've seen a couple of people saying that it was flat, but nah, it was forward.
Yeah,
It went forward from
complaints.
his hands, so it's
Yeah, no, it absolutely did. Credit to the club for their tribute to Cornel Hendricks. I thought Dragons were very classy. They put out a statement which went down very well with Bull supporters and indeed the South African rugby community. And then they paid tribute. They stopped training and laid flowers down outside the ground, I think it was. So that was really classy. And again, that just went down really well with Bull supporters. So yeah, I think the club gave a very good account of themselves and did themselves proud of that. So good on them for that. Anything else from this game? I mean, there's not too much to say, is it? Like, we know it was bad. We expected it, but it wasn't quite as bad as what we thought. But any other thoughts on it?
Well, when it was 26-10, I genuinely had a bit of a moment of naivety and insanity.
You've been through this before, mate. Come on now.
I thought we could get back into this.
Oh, no.
I said that to my son who was watching it with me, and he just said, no.
Yeah, no, never felt that, sadly.
No, when Rodri scored that try, that was it then. The Bulls thought, okay, we've let you score a couple of tries. That was 26-10. We're going to ramp it up and suffocate you, basically.
God, they found another gear.
Yeah, they did to us what they did to Cardiff. They just absolutely destroyed us at scrum time. They suffocated us, started chucking the ball a bit more than they did, you know. But
you just can't have kids in the front row, can you? It's just not.
No.
I don't think it's even kids. You're going out there, it's sapping energy-wise because of the altitude, and you're playing a team with a huge tight five.
Yeah.
You know, it's unless you have to physically match them. And we weren't even the same species as them, really. You know, like they're just huge lumps of men. And I thought Chris Coleman has tried his best, but
he tried his best. You know, he always tries his best, bless him. But it was a very, very bad day.
I also think, to be fair to Coleman, he's shown improvement this season.
I think so as well.
Yeah, so do I.
But he shouldn't be a first choice tight head, and next season he won't. And you'd hope. I've said it before. Do these players know what good looks like? Well, in training, he's going up against Wyn Jones next season. Yeah. Like you're going to learn what tough Poppin's looking like then, and you'd want him to come on again, but without the pressure of being first choice week in, week out, which he's not up to that yet. But hopefully his best years are ahead of him.
Well, you should be third cab off the rank next season, shouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's been in a tough position this year.
Yes, indeed. I mentioned the injuries earlier. I got to get this off my chest because it's been annoying me a bit. So, as we all know, the Dragons have been absolutely hammered by injuries this season. We have consistently had between 17 and 20 players out, injured almost every week for the best part of the season. We agree on that, don't we? It's been in the late teens, and that's been really frustrating. What is also frustrating for me is the lack of acknowledgement from the Welsh rugby media regarding our injury crisis. With the exception of the South Wales Argus, of course, our never-ending injury list has been pretty much largely ignored by media outlets such as BBC Scrum 5 and Wales Online, particularly when you read the match reports. Take the Scrum 5 podcast, for example, right? So, like a lot of Welsh rugby fans, I listen to the Scrum 5 pod. They don't normally talk about the Dragons much, in fairness. They usually focus more on the other three teams. But on this occasion, they did actually talk about the Dragons for more than 5 minutes. And they talked about our season. You know, they talked about how diabolically bad we are, how recruitment was a disaster, no excuses for us to be so far behind Zebra, given the budget difference. And I think, well, okay, fair enough. Those are fair points. I can't really disagree with any of those. However, there was zero mention of the injuries that we suffered. Now, look, yes, we have been bad, and the league table doesn't lie, right? But if you consistently have 17 to 20 players missing from a paper thin squad, then it's almost impossible to be competitive. Right? Context is important, and it shouldn't be overlooked with how much we've suffered because of it. The two things can be true at the same time. Yes, we have been poor, but why have we been so poor? Why haven't we been competitive? Because we haven't got the depth to cope with all the injuries. This is a very thin squad. Also, their review of the Stormers Dragons game was weak. No mention of the fact that we had 19 players out injured. No mention that one of our most experienced props, Rodri Jones, had to pull out late on and be replaced by 21-year-old Dylan Keller-Griffiths. And we had 20-year-old Owain Jones, or James, sorry, coming off the bench. We have been forced to play kids in the pack against two of the best teams in South Africa. Like Philo Tiatia did an interview, right, the other week with a rugby paper, and he said, and I quote, "I have never been in a season where I've lost so many players through injury." That's what he said. And don't get me wrong, I don't want sympathy. I don't want sympathy from people. I just want some context and some balance from the Welsh rugby media when they're discussing us. Because we heard all about the Ospreys injury crisis this season when they had 20 players missing. And we heard all about the Scarlets injury crisis last season. But there's been very little mention about ours. All I've heard is how bad we are. Okay, fine. But no context, no nuance to the fact that we have a thin squad and we've been hammered by injuries all season. I mean, it's disappointing, but it's not surprising, is it? The coverage we get, it just lacks the context and nuance. Maybe that's just me, I don't know, but I need to get off my chest. I found it pretty frustrating, actually, that there's been no mention of the fact that we've been hammered by injuries when we're getting criticised. Do you think that's a fair point? Or
100% agree. I listen to the Scrum 5 podcast. Lauren Jenkins, normally really good. But yeah, it's just context. Like you said, we don't want sympathy. We know we're bad and we don't want anyone to sort it out but ourselves. We want to fix that problem. But give people the context. 22 players out, 12 of them in the front five. And you're going up against the most physical pack in the league. What on earth? Like, we should be getting credit for keeping it to 55 points. It's really frustrating. But if we just keep on losing games, we're not going to get the context because no one cares. It's just we lost again, and people don't feel it's worth delving into the detail with us at the minute, which is wrong because it's literally their job. So they should be given that context. But
as journalists, you go offer the context and the facts.
Yeah.
It's not good saying, "Oh, Dragons are bad." Well, yeah, okay, we know that, but why are they bad?
Exactly.
You need to explain to your listeners and to your audience why
and
it
it
is.
literally has been all season as well. I know we were better in that first block before they really mounted up. But even that, we didn't have Wainwright for the first 5 games, our best player. Yeah. You know, we've suffered all season, and there's been so many close games, and you think, you know, give us a few of those players back, we'll get them over the line. There were more recognisable names in the absence list than the starting team on the weekend. It's, very frustrating. It needs to be acknowledged in the media at least.
Absolutely. And we've used something like 56, 57 players this season. And that doesn't mean we got a large squad, mind. Don't think, we've got, cause some people think that. Oh, you're not short of numbers. You use 56, 57 players. No, we've had to pull kids from the academy and bring in bloody semi-pro players. It just really annoys me because
Dan Lydiate shouldn't have been playing this season.
No, he shouldn't have.
He played loads of rugby. he could barely run.
That wasn't planned, though. That was not the plan to have him playing that many games.
Not at all.
No. And the challenge with it all is that we already had a weak setup, and we just lost the heart of it. And I don't think we're a good side, but there does have to be some context. But like I said, that level of injury is absolutely unstoppable. A friend of mine who's a Munster fan was saying, we had 14 injuries at the start of the season. That's why we had a poor season. We've had, I think our lowest number of injuries at the start of the season was 12. And we've only ever gone up from there. And there's guys like Funaki who, has been injured the entire season.
Hang on, are you acknowledging he exists, Gav?
Well, allegedly exists. So, and you saying you saw him in Morrison, I'm not sure. But That's not right, is it? You can't compete in a situation where more than half your first choice players are injured. And if you look at the players we've played, I'd be interested to see how many SRC players we've played and
Yeah.
academy players in comparison to the other clubs.
Tell you what it does as well, and to be fair, Chris at the Argus touched on this, is we're then killing the players that are fit. Like an Iron Owen, fair play, he's been fantastic, but
he's been flogged.
he
this season.
must be
yeah.
running on empty. Because also he doesn't shy away from it, does he?
No.
He is 100% of every game. You're like, what? Like, what are we doing? Like, the poor guy needs to be taken out the five line, but there's no option. It's a very, very tough position to be in for us.
Who do you put in instead of him?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ackerman's injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's a prospect. But after that, we've got no options then, apart from who the other boys have to play at 13. Joe, and Wilson.
Yeah, we had to play Scott Williams at 12 at Judgment Day.
Yeah,
it's
and now he's injured. Like he missed the tour.
Yeah.
It's just
well, hopefully we can bring in a couple of centres.
Yeah. Fingers
Injuries
crossed.
have just absolutely ruined us. And like I said, I don't want sympathy. I just want a bit of context to the season, because I'm telling you now, if this happens to the other three teams, if they have an injury crisis, there's certain journalists on X falling over themselves to tell us about it. BBC and Wales will be very quick to put out an article. Ospreys 20 players missing, Cardiff injury crisis, 18 players, but with us it's just forgotten about. It's been overlooked, and I find that really disappointing. By the way, before we move on, really worrying news to South Wales Argus. Their plans to cut the sports department. That's going to limit the sports coverage for Newport County and Dragons. That is very bad and very disappointing news, because South Wales Argus is the one true source for Dragons news and Newport County, because we don't get the coverage of the other three teams in Wales Online and BBC. I always go to the Argus. That's why I pay my subscription. So if the coverage is going to be affected, that's very, very bad news. We should all be quite concerned about that.
Yeah, very sad news as well. I enjoy reading Chris's opinions.
Yeah, he's not losing his job, by the way. He said that.
I did see that.
I think they're cutting it down to 2 or 3 days a week, the sports coverage. Very disappointing news. I know the journalists, it's tough being a journalist, isn't it? Because there's a lot of cutbacks and everything going on, but that's bad news. That's really bad news. So, anyway, rant over. I've had my say. Bit of context and nuance next time, please. Right, let's move on to stats then. So this is going to make for very unpleasant listening. So I'm going to ask you about your thoughts on the season just gone, but I want to give you some stats on our season, because you thought it was bad. I'm going to tell you just how bad it was. So what was the story this season? So Dragons are the first Welsh region to finish bottom of the league. So no other team has finished bottom of the league bar the Dragons. So this goes back to Celtic League, Magnus League, Rabo, Guinness Pro 12, whatever this league has been, whatever inception this league has been, we are the first Welsh team to finish bottom of the table. So we've made history for all the wrong reasons there. We finished a whopping 20 points behind Zebra. That means Dragons have now equalled the record for the worst URC season with just 9 points. So Zebra finished the 2021/22 season on 9 points as well. A small consolation, though, was that the Italians had a point difference of minus 369 compared to our 302. I mean, it's a very small consolation, I admit, but it's some consolation. But yeah, it has been a wretched season. Only 2 teams failed to get a try bonus point against us. Do you know who they are?
2 teams didn't get a try bonus against us. Ospreys in the first game.
Ospreys is one. Who's the other team not to get a try bonus point against us?
Sharks? In the other home game?
It was the Lions.
Oh, Lions.
So Ospreys and Lions were the only teams not to score 4 tries or more against us.
That is, oh my days.
However, that was when Dave Flanagan was in charge, wasn't he? Because I was in the first block. Under Philo Tiatia as head coach, all of Dragons' URC opponents have claimed 5-point bonus wins. Philo has won just 1 game since taking charge. That was against Newcastle in Europe. And he currently has a win rate of just 6%. Yeah.
Wow.
According to the URC stats, Dragons have, this is not surprising, Dragons have the worst attack in the league. So for the second season in a row now, we've had the worst attack. We have made the fewest offloads, fewest meters gained, and fewest clean breaks. They scored a total of just 320 points in all URC games. That's very low, isn't it? Only Zebra scored less points than us, with 290.
Well, they won games.
Exactly. Yeah. Dragons had an overall tackle success rate of just 77%. That's not great. That's not great at all. Again, this won't surprise you. Dragons are ranked last in the URC stats for their discipline. So we conceded a total of 197 penalties. That's more than any other team in the league. Some good news. Our lineout was ranked 13th overall. So we've got a better lineout statistically than Cardiff, Zebra and Munster. And if you watch Munster this season, they have got a dreadful lineout. I don't know what's going on there. Slightly surprising stat, the scrum was ranked 11th in the league. Now, I thought it was going to be the worst, but we haven't got the worst scrum. The Dragons have won 17 scrum penalties. That is more than Connacht, Stormers, Ulster and Zebra. Does that surprise you? Because that does surprise me, I must admit. We know we got a weak scrum, but it's not as bad as what we think it is. So those are the stats. It's pretty damning. Now that the season is gone and you've heard what I've said, let me come to you then, Gavin. What was your verdict on the season, on the season so far, and based on what I've told you? How do you look back on the season?
Well, it started well, and then it got steadily worse. It's been awful. It's been bloody awful, and I get all the context. I get, we made the decision to get sort of Di Flanagan, but it just felt painful to watch. There was little pleasure to be sought from bits of it. And I've loved the amount of youngsters we brought through, but Christ, I also feel for them as well, because it can't be pleasant. And I just think rugby-wise, there's significant work to be done. The recruitment looks better for next year, but coaching has to be looked at.
Okay. Where do you think it went so badly wrong, Gavin?
Well, I think we got rid of Di Flanagan too early. I think, I don't think we had a discernible style under him, but we had even less of a discernible style. And the injuries have clearly walloped us.
Yeah.
I think the recruitment was poor, and I just think we lacked key figures throughout the season. There was so little consistency. Leadership was poor through most of the season for me.
Yeah, no, fair points. Gareth, come to you then, based on the stats I gave you and the season just gone. We've all relieved this over, but how do you look back on that season? What stood out to you?
I didn't think I could feel worse, but those stats were pretty damning.
I am sorry, but I needed to give our listeners some context in terms of...
I think the only one I'm not surprised about is the attack being the worst for 2 seasons running, because that's pretty plain to the eye to see. Start the season with so much hope. Beat the Ospreys and went away to Leinster, looked determined, and I think that pod after that was the first time on, and it was titled A Different Energy, and we all felt positive.
Robin McBride said that. Robin McBride said after the game that Dragons looked like they had a different energy. Yeah,
and that's sort of what we wanted. We knew we weren't going to go and win 10 games this season, but we wanted to be in the fight and be that sort of difficult team that wouldn't go away. It's not happened. I mean, the frustration around letting Di go, whether he was the right long-term coach, but we knew last season we left ourselves short on the coaching front, and that was a struggle. And then we just put ourselves back in the same situation after 6 games. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And then from that point on, we were just up against it. And by Christmas, once we'd lost to Cardiff on Boxing Day, season was over. And it's almost like we've just been trying to survive. And I just don't want to be in a position where I'm looking at the last few games of the season, wishing it was over. Because I love supporting the Dragons. I love watching the Dragons, but I haven't loved watching the Dragons for a lot of this season. I have wanted it to end. And I know a lot of people, I've spoken to so many people on the terrace and friends, family and stuff who are apprehensive about buying a ticket next season. And you can't blame them, but I haven't renewed mine yet, actually, but I'm going to. I I think we're supporters, not fans. You've got to support through the thick and thin. We're waiting for the good times to come round, but yes, let's just hope it does get better. Because if it's another season like this, where do you go? Because what is the point? Like losing's one thing, but being competitive is another, and we haven't been competitive enough. So it's just not been enjoyable. And ultimately, supporting your club and going to watch them is meant to be enjoyable, and at times it hasn't been. So let's hope we take a lot of learnings from it into next season, because it's been pretty tough.
Yeah, it's been an absolute disaster. Me personally, I've never been more embarrassed to call myself a Dragon supporter after seeing what we've seen. And that accounts for all the injuries as well. It's been a total disaster. The recruitment has been a total disaster.
Mm-hmm.
That has been a big problem.
Yeah.
As to why we struggled. Poor recruitment, the injuries. I felt sorry for Dai, who's juggling so many things. It doesn't really sit right with me, his departure, and the way it happened and the timing of it. I've got to be honest. Look, I'm prepared to give Philo a chance. I'll judge him next season because it'll be his squad.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I've got to be honest. I thought it was a very underwhelming appointment when he was announced as head coach. And I've got to be honest about that. He's been talking a lot lately about how difficult it's been away from his family, being on the other side of the world. It's just something that he spoke about in the rugby paper. That he loves his wife and he misses his family, and his faith is getting him through. I feel for Philo, because being Dragons head coach, I think, is one of the toughest jobs in rugby. And when you're away from your family, it must be even more difficult. It's a poison chalice, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's such a difficult job. But I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But I have to say, I have got major reservations about this coaching team. Bringing in a defence coach from the NPC doesn't really reassure me that much.
No, I was just going to say
I've got to be honest, yes, he's experienced. Yes, he's spent some time with Tonga and Mono Pacifica, but I'm still not 100% convinced. And the attack coach is a big problem.
Yeah.
We all like Matt O'Brien. He's a great guy. It's nothing personal, but it's not working. The stats prove that.
No,
I am factually correct in what I say. People may not like what I'm saying, but it's factually correct to say that we have the worst attack in the league, and we've done so for 2 seasons.
And statistically, you've already pointed out that we had more of a platform than we actually realised, with both line-out and scrum not being as bad as we thought. Yeah. So that's even more damning then when you look at the figures around attack, isn't it? Because we had more platform than we realised.
Well, you go over to watch rugby to see a team attack. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for a gritty 3-0 win, and I'd love it. But I want to see line breaks. And I think I left some games this season being like, did we make any breaks?
We made the fewest in the league. We have made fewer line breaks than any team in the league.
It's just like, that's not enjoyable to go watch. And the thing is, like, we all know we need an overhaul to become better. We can't stay the same. So they're trying to make recruitment changes. But I think one additional coach, is that enough?
Not for me.
I don't think so. And also, like, I think you can get away with an inexperienced coach in a club, but if everything else is fantastic and they're in a top environment to learn their trade, but we're asking inexperienced coaches to help shape the environment. That's not right. They haven't got the experience to do that. It's almost not really fair to Matt O'Brien and Sam Hobbs as well. I think Sam Hobbs is doing a decent job with the forwards, and he has done a bit more coaching before. But the attack, like you said, the stats speak for themselves. I think the owners need to show more intent and bring in an experienced attack coach as well.
It's not their fault, mind. They are academy coaches that were promoted. So Sam Hobbs was an academy coach. He was promoted to look after defence by Dave Flanagan, and then he ended up being forwards coach. Matt O'Brien was brought in from the academy to look after the attack because Dave Flanagan stepped up to head coach. I'm not going to go at these guys. I'm just saying the stats show that we're really struggling. And I think coaching is a big problem. And a lot of I don't know, people at the Dragons listen to this, a lot of our listeners' comments always revolve around coaching. Guaranteed, when I do a mailbox section, there's always something about coaching.
Well, we don't look well coached, do we?
And that's what everybody says. We've said it. My mates say it. Everyone says to me, Josh Turnbull, I don't speak Welsh, but they had the subtitles on because I want to know what Tim and Andrew Coombs were saying about, the match and Dragons. And if the subtitles are correct, Josh Turnbull said, we are a very hard team to watch. That's what he said in Welsh, apparently. They come up on English subtitles.
We're doing it every week, mate.
Exactly. That's what he said. He said, there's no positives for us, and we are a very hard team to watch.
But if the owner's genuinely ambitious, which is what we hear, and don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot on their plate at the minute, but if they're really serious about making us more competitive, then it has to be down to the coaching. Like, yeah, signing props is great, but injury could take one of them out. Coaches make everyone better. We need a better coaching setup, and I just don't know why we're not looking at a new attack coach.
Yeah.
Why would Rio stay
It's nothing against Matt O'Brien. Like I said, I'm sure he's a great guy. It's nothing personal. But like I said, I have the stats, but the data is out there to show that our attack just isn't working.
Rio's contract will be up in a year. Yeah. Why would he stay if we're not getting him the ball and he's not scoring tries and he's not in the Welsh squad?
Okay, here's something that Dan said on the pod last week, and I've been thinking about this a lot. He said, is it the system that Matt O'Brien is putting in that's not working, or are the players not good enough to sort of execute what he's trying to put in place? What do you think about that, Gav? Because he wasn't on the last pod.
If Matt O'Brien's put in a system that the players aren't good enough to execute, then that's on Matt O'Brien. You know what players you've got, put in a system that they can execute. Also, I'm not seeing evidence of us dropping that final pass, and that would be a human error, like we haven't got the quality. We're not showing any attacking patterns. Our players, can we get the ball to Wainwright? Because he's absolutely amazing and he can make yards. And then, wow, we've discovered Hugh Anderson. Can we give him the ball as well? And that is about as far as our attacking play goes. I don't think there's enough structure. Or are we not spending enough time on it? I don't know what it is, but definitely the systems don't even look like they're in place for us to have the quality to whether we've got the quality or not. It doesn't look like there's a system in place.
And I would agree with it completely.
Okay, fair enough. Let's leave that there then. We could all agree it's been an absolutely joyless, miserable, for me personally, embarrassing season. Look, I've never got high expectations for the Dragons, right? Anyone who knows me will tell you that. I think my prediction for the season was 14th. Yours was the same as well, Gavin, wasn't it? I think you predicted
it was
14th. And I thought that was fair enough.
Yeah.
It's not wild predictions there. It's not like I'm saying, oh yeah, we're going to challenge for the playoffs and be top 8. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that we're going to be 20 points behind Zebra. I just didn't see that coming. I did not see that. And on the one hand, I will give credit to Zebra. They beat some big teams, Munster, Ospreys, Ulster away, Edinburgh away. When was the last time we beat Ulster and Edinburgh away? This, a Dragons team. Fair play to them. I'll give them a lot of credit where it's due, but it's embarrassing, isn't it? To be 20. Not the fact that we've finished last, because I think that was coming for a number of years, because we have always been flirting with the bottom, haven't we? Let's be honest. It's always been a dogfight between us and Zebra. So I'm not surprised that we finished last. But I still can't believe 20 points behind Zebra.
Yeah.
And that should be pretty damning and embarrassing for everyone concerned at the Dragons. And we cannot have another season as bad as this. We can't.
No.
We can't. I'm sorry. It cannot happen again.
9 points. We picked up more than half of that in the first 2 games.
Yeah. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Right. Let's move on to news then. Oh, God. Should we talk about the latest shit show in Welsh Rugby?
Yeah.
Do you know, this spoiled my Saturday night. I was on a lovely Saturday night. I was watching Eurovision. I was having a beer. I was enjoying it. It was good. And then the story comes out. So on Saturday night, Steph Thomas from Wales Online put out a story saying WRU has decided to cut the number of professional clubs in Wales to 3. The article said that the WRU board has agreed that reducing the number of teams is the best way forward with the process set to begin this summer, right? So that was a bombshell. Everybody shit themselves. And we know why this is happening. This is because the Scarlets and the Ospreys have refused to sign a new PRA deal due to Cardiff's administration and WRU takeover. They've got concerns that the union are going to prioritise Cardiff above the other teams. Perfectly valid concerns, we would all agree. Then on Sunday morning, the WRU put out a statement confirming they have issued a 2-year notice to terminate the current agreement with the professional clubs. They said, and I quote, the WRU's preference from the outset was to maintain 4 professional clubs on equal funding. However, agreement on the new PRA could not be reached with 2 of the professional clubs, Osprey Scarlets. This is not a decision that was taken lightly. So what's happening here is the old PRA deal will be scrapped. Cardiff and Dragons have signed up to the new deal with increased funding, while the Ospreys and Scarlets haven't. So that looks likely to be a 2+2 funding model and the real possibility of losing a team in the near future. So that came out. Then Dragons released a statement on Sunday morning. They said, following the recent statement from the Welsh Rugby Union, Dragons RFC are delighted to have signed a 5-year deal under the new professional rugby agreement, which provides the club with 3 years of agreed fixed funding. We did so to demonstrate our commitment to provide stability and security to Dragons RFC as we continue to develop on and off the field. As demonstrated by signing the agreement, our owners are committed to the long-term future of professional rugby and the financial stability of Dragons RFC. So there's a lot to take in there. So that statement went down well with Dragon supporters because they feel more, reassured. Unfortunately, it went down badly with supporters of other teams, accusing the Dragons of bad timing and gloating. David Buttress, in particular, has copped a hell of a lot of shit on X for saying, come on, you Drags. And there are Ospreys and Scarlets fans who are very emotional or lining up to have a pop with the guy. It's just a shit show, isn't it? Where to start? Gareth, I'll come to you. First of all, what do you make of this news coming out of the WRU, and then how the Dragons handled it with their response to that statement?
Hate to see it, to be honest. It's not the news I want to be reading. Always said I want 4 strong teams, and I believe that we can fund 4 strong teams. And you've touched on it before. There's livelihoods at stake. Let alone all the fans and things like that it affects. So it's really not nice to read at all, and I don't want to see any region go. I mean, from what I'm reading, it sounds like we're in a relatively safe position, having signed the agreement, and everything else we know about the Dragons, as in we have assets. We are going to finish in the black this season. We are stable off the field, which is really good and is important because essentially we are a business. Yes, the product on the pitch isn't great, but I think I mentioned to you, Jamie, that results can change overnight. We could have won 6 games this season. That's not inconceivable. We were that close, and it's the toss of the coin in sport. That can change really quickly, but having assets and making money or making a loss, that doesn't change overnight. So the other regions are in a bit of a vulnerable position, and I feel for them, and I want them to be in a strong position. I've absolutely no problem with the Dragon statement and Buttress coming out. I think, first of all the regions want reassurance. The Dragons were able to give us reassurance in some form. It's still not concrete assurance, but they give us the reassurance that they could give, which I think they're completely entitled to do, and they did professionally. David Buttress's comment of Upper Dragons maybe wasn't, the most professional comment, but he's done a hell of a lot to keep this region alive. He's had to fight that fight so much, and he's copping some flack. And I want him to come out swinging. I want him to defend us. I feel that's right. Everyone sees us as an easy target because we lose games. Well, okay, if we start winning some games, who are you cutting then? Because that is an easier fix than a lot of the other problems in Welsh rugby. getting to win some games. So I'd be worried if I was the other regions. Where will the fingers start pointing then if we start to win games and we're not such an easy target? But yeah, I'm happy Butcher's come out swinging. That's what I want from the owner.
Yeah.
he's copped a bit of flack, but
yes, it has been a hell sight today. Social media.
That's what I want to see though, because I'm worried for all of Welsh rugby. I don't want to see it happen, but obviously my main concern is my own club. It's the club I go. It would have the biggest effect on me. So I was glad that the Dragons put out a statement. I think that was the right thing to do.
Okay, fair enough. Gavin, what have you made of it all?
Oh well, I wish people stop using emotive language about business. Is my main thing. Betrayal, scab,
yeah, seen that a lot today. Yeah,
it's offensive.
The word scab does not sit right.
It's downright offensive, Gareth. You know, son of a miner, grew up in the mining community during the miners' strike. The word scab means people were ostracized completely from society because they broke a collective agreement that they had made with their fellow workers and their union members. These are 4 independent businesses making decisions based on the viability of their own independent business. There's no collective agreement. There's no sense of community. And if you genuinely think that people run sports clubs, be it football clubs, rugby clubs, wherever, beyond the grassroots level, for anything other than business decisions, you're naive.
Yeah.
And I'm fed up with the language. I'm fed up with language which downplays things that tore apart communities in the South Wales valleys in the 80s, and about something that's ultimately to do with multi-million-pound businesses. It's irritating to me. And let's be honest, the WRU are not fit people to be running our sport.
No,
but they are, and that's the decision they've made. And that deal was put in front of the other clubs, and they made the decision not to sign it. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'm not even going to pretend to know about the ins and outs of it. But business decisions were made. Well, if I decided I had a chip shop and I was only going to open between 10 and 12 on a Wednesday afternoon, it might not be the best business decision. They've made a business decision. Let's see if it works for them.
Yeah.
Spot on, Gab. Do you know one thing as well? A lot of fans on social media saying, "Oh, we've abandoned the other 2 regions in the West by signing, and why didn't they stick with us?" Well, why didn't they sign? We've been abandoned because we've tried to push Welsh rugby forward by signing the agreement with the WRU to push Welsh rugby forward. And have they not abandoned that and abandoned Welsh rugby by not signing, which is having effects with the NatWest and the loan and delaying things there? Have they not abandoned Welsh rugby, and are they not being selfish?
And let's be realistic, right? We were saved financially by the WRU.
Yeah.
We can't sit in our high horse and go, "Oh, look what you're doing in Cardiff."
I said that last week. We're not in a position to take them all high ground.
Of course we aren't. Of course we aren't. And there has to be a degree of compromise. I'm still of the view there'll be 4 clubs. I'm still because I still believe Scarlett and Osprey will sign an agreement.
Yeah. And this is a pressure tactic from media.
Yes, it's brinksman. I think the WRU is brinksmanship.
Yeah, I thought that last night. When I read that article, I thought this is a ploy by the WRU to ramp up the pressure on the West clubs to sign. And today's statement, Sunday's statement again, it's saying this is what will happen if you don't sign, that we're going to have
and that happens in business, but it's just an emotional business because we all see the product on the pitch.
And this is why sport as a business is such a bizarre concept, isn't it? Because to us, it's not a business. It's something we care about. It's something we have connected to our own personal identity. One of the things that defines us. But in reality, and it could be football, rugby, wherever, there's millionaires making decisions about making more money.
Yeah, but it goes back to what Gav said earlier, and you're right, Gav. We're an easy target. So anytime a story comes out about cutting the team, the amount of comments I see, cut the Dragons, they're the worst team. They've been rubbish 20 years. No, get rid of them. Get rid of them. And then you get people on social media who get found out, actually, because the same people who say, oh, we need 4 strong team in Wales. Yeah, we need a strong Dragons. I want all 4 teams to do well. They start showing their true colours by saying, cut the Dragons. Why should it be us? Get rid of them. And honestly, it's been a sewer, social media. And on the one hand, I get it. They're worried. Ospreys and Scarts fans are worried. And I understand why.
But it does bring up my favourite people, the 3 true regions, East, West and North.
Oh, don't start that nonsense.
Come on.
Because what professional rugby really needs is an underfunded team playing the 19 people in Colwyn Bay. That will make all the difference to professional rugby in this country.
To add as well, and I don't want to look back, because you mentioned before, Jimmy, that it's about looking forward now in Welsh rugby. It's not about looking back. But when they talk about success over the years, well, there was a funding model in place years ago that kept the worst team the worst. So we had a foot on our head, we couldn't grow, and all our best players were pillaged and plundered, strengthening the other teams that, lo and behold, has not served them well because it's just given them loads of debt. And they haven't been able to invest in assets and things like that. It's, buying your way to success in the past doesn't mean you've got a sustainable future. The future's very different, and it is about looking forward now. It's not about the past, and we are in a good position, which always seems daft to say because we can't win a game. But that can change, and hopefully, I believe, will change.
I think we're in a good position asset-wise. I think
off the field, yeah.
I'm to a degree off the field. I think we're in a good position in terms of a business and its assets. But there are off the field bits that I don't think we're in a good position, because part of our business is around the development of rugby players, and we aren't in a good position there, and we aren't in a good position around, sustained recruitment. So I still think there's work to be done off the field, but in terms of making sure that all the numbers line up in a spreadsheet, we're good at that bit.
Yeah.
But URC don't give bonus points for that, do they?
No, they don't. But people talk about the Dragons' results because that's always used against us. That's why they want us close. It's no other reason. It's the results. Those people forget that when you put aside the salary cap, we had the lowest playing budget out of all the regions. Well, we didn't have a Mike Cuddy like Ospreys had. We couldn't go out and sign Galacticos. We never had a Peter Thomas splashing the cash on Xavier Resh's Ben Blaze. We didn't have that. We were always the poorly funded out of all teams. That explains why our results were bad.
Yeah.
But people forget that. They don't take that into account, that we had the lowest playing budget out of every Welsh region before salary caps. And it's just really frustrating, but it's constantly used against us. But then again, this is why I've always talked about changing the narrative.
Yeah.
It's very easy to use the Dragons as a target, and this season's a prime example. Well, you've only won 1 game in the league. What's the point to you? You should be cut. You're rubbish. You're shit. We don't help ourselves.
No.
Our on-field performances are letting us down because we have a reputation now. And you know what they say? Mud sticks. And it's very, very hard to shake it off. We have got to do better on the field. That's the only way we're going to change perceptions. We are in a very good position off the field. We are the only team that owns our own stadium. We don't carry the same level of debt as the other teams. We're a massive rugby region. We've got a lot of clubs in the area. We've got really good pathway, good academies. But we can't put it together on the field. And that will always be used against the Dragons' results. It will always be used against us. It will be used as a stick to beat us with. And that's why we got to change the narrative and start winning games.
No, and that's the challenge, isn't it? Because we can talk about what it looks like off the field, but now it has to change on the field. It has to change in the training paddock.
Also, why should it be purely based on results? Why can't it be who's the least financially stable then?
Yeah.
No, I just offered up a different alternative. So why results? Why can't we say who's the most financially sustainable? Who's the most financially competent?
Well,
who has assets? Why can't we have that conversation? Why is it purely got to be based on results?
And I don't like kind of quoting this person, but there's a very loud Cardiff fan on social media who's said the similar things. It should be the clubs who can sustain themselves that are sustained.
Well, if you think this season about
which is ironic considering the clubs he supports, but
yeah, you can't. in theory, as a business, you can't control results, you can't control injuries and all that. So those variables, and we've been smacked by them. Injuries have absolutely decimated us. So if there's another region, they got poor business model off it, but yeah, better team. The Scarlets, not targeting them, but as an example, Scarlets, best team in Wales at the minute, great. Next season, still a crap business model, but they've been decimated by injuries and they don't win any games. Well, then what have they got? They're not in a position where they were ever going to be sustainable. Winning games doesn't mean you're going to win games next year.
No.
Yeah. Morons in the Facebook comment section I'm not interested in. Their views are utterly irrelevant to me. But when I see people who I like, who I think are knowledgeable on social media saying this stuff, it's very disappointing. And it's really disappointing and sad now how supporters are turning on each other. Like I said, I understand why. Because they're worried. I would be worried too if I was an Osprey or Scarlet fan. But it's not helping anyone. And for me, it's like, is it any wonder people are losing interest in Welsh rugby? Because the petty politics, the constant infighting, the persistent rumours of cutting a team, mergers, it's putting people off. And it's causing concern with loyal supporters of the pro game. And it's just so fucking tedious. Why would anyone invest their time and money into a team if they don't know it's going to exist in 2 or 3 years' time? Why would you do that? It's a massive turn-off at the moment. Welsh rugby is just it's a mess. It's a bin fire. Why would anyone spend their time and money and get emotionally invested in a team if they don't know they're going to exist in a few years?
It's run by absolute lunatics. That's the problem, isn't it? It's the people making decisions just can't do anything consistently. And yeah, if you were an investor, you'd be like, absolutely bloody not.
Well, that's it. Some of the regions might have a meeting tomorrow with a huge sponsor about a long-term deal. Well, not going in with much weight behind it now, are you? So they can be like, well, what's this about? Or
it has a knock-on effect, doesn't it? It causes anxiety amongst staff, supporters, and players.
You could be talking to sign a player.
Yeah.
We're still after a 13. How's that conversation going? He's like, well, actually, I might go somewhere where I know there's definitely going to be a club. It's massively damaging. And I just think pushing agendas from certain parts of the media as well, it's just just not right. It's massively damaging. And it is, you can see the ones that is their personal agenda.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Certain journalists have made their views very clear. And it's not subtle anymore that they want to go down to 3 teams. And they're supposed to be journalists and balanced. We're not seeing that at the moment.
Yes, unprofessional.
When Welsh Regional Rugby started, terrible decisions were made about funding, about how they choose the clubs, how they create them. And nobody has ever said at any point, oh, we need to think about this. We're trying to do a jigsaw where we don't have the picture and we don't have the right pieces. And we're convinced that we're going to create an image, and if we will not. People need to think about what that's going to look like. We have got 4 clubs now. What is that going to look like in reality? And move from that point rather than this imagined picture of what they're trying to do.
Also, Abitini came out when they saved Cardiff, being like, the cost of losing a region because of the implications to the broadcasters, the league and all that is bigger than saving Cardiff at the time. So if we cut a region, we're losing money straight away. It's not this like golden ticket that everyone thinks it is.
This is why I think it's brinksmanship. There are too many legal, financial and contractual issues tied up in 4 Welsh regions playing in competitions for it to fail. So, yeah, I don't think it's a way to get what you want, but that's what it's about for me.
Can I ask then, because there'll be lots of Dragons fans listening, do we feel that we're safe?
Well, I think we're as safe as we ever are. The problem is, I don't think it's to do with the clubs themselves, and all of the clubs have been poorly run at one point or another. And anyone who says that's not the case is wrong. But it's the foundation we are built on is the problem. And the foundation we are built on is a basket case. Welsh rugby is a basket case. The WRU is. So we're as secure as we can be right now on foundations which aren't built for building on.
It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Yeah.
I feel that we're secure for the next 5 years. We have signed a deal. Like I said, we got a lot of things going for us off the field, assets, etc. We're very responsible with our finances. I don't feel that we're ever 100% safe, though. You know? And the only team that are Cardiff. And why is that?
Yeah.
Because Abby Tierney has come out. She's already said, she came out and said, not having a pro team in the capital would be unthinkable.
Yeah,
So
that didn't help, did it?
That means if Cardiff, when they go back into private ownership, if a similar thing happened again, I hope it doesn't, obviously, but if they run into financial difficulty again, they'll get bailed out by the WRU again because they've already said it's unthinkable. They're the capital. So Cardiff will always be safe. And this is why you've always had the vocal minority of Cardiff fans banging on about three teams because they know their team is safe. It's very disingenuous, but that's why they do it, because they know their team is safe as ours is. But yeah, I feel reassured by the statement. But like I said, I'm just disappointed with, I know it's a lot of emotion and a lot of concern, but I'm disappointed with some of the language and comments that have been chucked at the Dragons. You know, the knives are sharpening. It's not our fault what's happened. It's not our fault that Cardiff had dodgy owners and have been bailed out by the WRU, but apparently it's our fault, you know. We've ruined Welsh rugby. We're killing Welsh rugby in the West. The absolute bollocks I have read on X. Seriously, these people want to give their fucking heads a wobble. The shit they're putting on X. It's making me angry now just talking about it. But get a grip. I know you're worried. I get it. But some of the absolute nonsense is coming out on social media. Just no. Have you seen the statements from the supporters group, Scarlets and Ospreys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not the official club. This is the supporters group. So you got Scarlet supporters group saying they won't be cowed by a governing body that continues to show a lack of understanding for the sport it represents. They've accused the WRU of prioritising the interest of Cardiff at the expense of others. And then you got the Osprey supporters group who said Cardiff have been rewarded for going into administration. It's not helping, is it? I mean, I understand their concerns. I get it, but where's it going to end?
The thing is, the Scarlet statement, I agree. I agree. The WRU is absolutely unfit for purpose.
They are, and those supporters, right? Those really emotional and angry Ospreys and Scar supporters, they're putting their anger in the wrong direction. They should be directing it towards Westgate Street.
Yeah.
Not the Dragons.
No.
Not anywhere else. The WRU.
Yeah.
That's where they should be.
100%.
Sending their anger to.
100%. We made it, kind of, not we personally, but the Dragons owners made a business decision.
Exactly. And people need to respect that, just as we respect the fact that Ospreys and Scars have not signed.
Yeah.
So people need to use their language and think carefully about what they're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Frankly. Yeah, I think it's time to dial down the emotive language.
Yeah.
And if you're going to direct it somewhere, direct it to people who are responsible.
Yeah. Right. Anything else to add on that before we move on?
No.
All good.
Okay, cool. Right, let's move on to comings and goings then. We've made a couple of signings since we last recorded. Dragons have signed Tonga winger Fine Anisi, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Mono Pacifica. 26-year-old, he's won 15 caps for Tonga and has previously worked with Philo T at Mono Pacifica and incoming defence coach Dale McLeod at North Harbour. I saw the highlights video that the Dragons put out when we signed him. Looked good. Then again, I thought Solomon Funaki looked good. Then again, I thought Harvey Wilson looked good and Theo Thompson looked good. So I'm going to take these highlight videos with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know. Gavin, what do you make of this guy? The one thing I will say, I know nothing about him and I don't watch Super Rugby anymore because I just don't think it's good enough since the South Africans left. I think it's a different... I should watch it more, but I just don't. I love his hair. He's got a good head of hair. I like his hair.
Yeah, he looks decent. He looks quick. He looks strong. I don't think he's a 13. Or just
no. He's a winger that can play outside centre, like Joe Chavez. You know,
Because yeah, like
Do you know what I
Darren.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like, watching the highlight reels, no centres. He does run some nice lines, but they're wingers lines. But yeah, he's a big, quick, physical lad. It's not going to hurt, is it?
No.
But we won't know until he gets on the field.
Yeah. What about you then, Gareth? Because you said you liked the look. You were quite excited in the.
I was
in the group
excited
chat,
because I'd been scouring before, thinking who can we sign as outside backs, and I'd sort of come across him with Greg, a mate off the terrace, and I like the look of him. He's not got a huge amount of experience for his age, but he's exciting. I think we definitely need someone else in the back line who can break the line and has got some raw pace around him. He looks like he's got that sort of raw out and out pace, which we seem to lack in the backs at times, especially with Rio being out. I think the main thing is he's worked under two of our coaches before. Philo and the other new coach, they seem to be really big on culture. So you hope that this person coming in should be a good culture fit and someone who should be able to drive the standards within the squad. Otherwise, why are they signing him if they know that's an area we need to improve on and they've worked with him before? So yeah, it's good. I think if we can sign a 13 that we're rumoured to be after, I think it's nice. Then we've added to the outside backs. With someone who's got a bit about them. He looks exciting, but yeah, highlight reels aren't always everything to go off, are they? So we'll wait and see. But I think it's a good sign. I'm pretty pleased with it. Given where we are as well, like you'd think we would struggle to sign players. Obviously, we've touched on players we've signed before already. We're adding a good bit of experience and now hopefully a bit of excitement in the backs.
Well, we'll be paying him more than he's on now. So, that's the reason why he's done it. It's it's a business decision.
Yeah, we're saying he looks good. Question is, with our attacking system, is he going to get the ball?
Well, I'm guessing he hasn't spoken to Rio because we would just say, mate, don't play it. You won't get the ball.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's all very well signing wingers, pacey, physical wingers, but are they going to get the ball in this attacking system that we employ? It's a valid question.
Well, we don't like giving it to the winger much, do we?
No. And there's a part of me that thinks we're strengthening the pack, so will we have more ball and more front football? But there's been times this season, especially in the first part of the season, when in that first block when we were pretty competitive, we still didn't play good rugby in the backs then. We were just physical and up for the fight, and that's what kept us in games. We weren't cutting teams to ribbons. So, yeah, is he going to get the ball? Let's see. It's a bit concerning, isn't it? Because you could have anyone on. You could have Will Jordan out there if you want, but
well, exactly. Yeah, our attack is so awful. You could put bloody Anton DuPont, Roman Ntamak, and whoever else that's in there. It won't make a difference.
You need to have 10 and 13 sorted for wingers to have any real impact.
Yeah.
And two positions that have been weak for us all season.
Yeah.
It will not surprise you in the slightest if I tell you that Finney Anisi is out injured at the moment with an ankle injury. So it's very on brand for the Dragons.
Is he really?
Yes, I'm not joking. He's out injured with an ankle injury. Learning lessons again in re-signing injured players.
Don't
let it get infected, please.
Can someone prove he exists? What was that not just an AI highlight reel?
To be fair, I think he's recently picked this up, but he is out injured with an ankle injury at the minute. You cannot make it up, could you? The Wyn Jones signing has finally been confirmed. 33-year-old has signed on a 2-year deal, according to the Argus. 48 caps for Royals and 1 British and Irish Lions cap, and has made 20 appearances for Quins this season. He's filled a very good role as an impact player. He's come off the bench a few plays.
He's played well in the games I've watched this season.
I watch a lot of English Premier. He's done all right. So I'm happy with this. Experienced prop, can scrummage, British Lion. What's not to like about this?
Well, no, it's a good signing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Fantastic signing. Well, you just said he can scrummage. He's a British Lion. Like, what's he doing coming to us? But no, that's great. If you think of the games
It sounds like you're complaining. What's he coming to us?
Do you know what I mean? Like, he must have something wrong with him.
I think he just wants to come back home.
Yeah,
and he wants to play regular rugby, doesn't he? You know.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about his age at all. He's played enough rugby this season. That's great. And I think if you look at like him and I know people have their reservations around Dylan Lewis, but he's had over 50 caps for Wales. If you put those two prop in the last few games, we're a bit more stable. We've got a bit more of a platform. Does it get us a win? Not in the last few games, but a couple of games this season that have been close. That added quality could be the difference.
Well, you get more ball. If your scrimmage is competitive, you get more ball. It's really simple. But
So the loose head options next season would be Wyn Jones, Rodri Jones, Rodrigo Martinez, and then backed up by Dylan Keller-Griffiths, who's had a fair bit of experience, maybe more than what we would have liked this season, but he's got some minutes under his belt. Backed up by academy pair Jordan Morris and George Tuckley. Tell you what, mate, it's not bad, is it? Wyn Jones, Rodri Jones, Rodrigo Martinez.
As a depth chart, it's fine, isn't it? You know, that's a decent depth chart at that particular position.
Those are strong options, those three, I think, providing they stay fit, obviously.
I agree.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Really happy with that.
And I've seen some negative comments. I know you two have as well regarding our recruitment, but what are people expecting? You know, I think this is where I'm going to go off on another long run. Supporters need to give their heads a wobble and think about where the Dragons are, right? They have to understand we are the worst team in the URC and we are the worst in Europe. Attracting good quality players is always going to be hard. It's always going to be hard. And to be fair, I think the signings the club have made are pretty decent. We have signed some very good players, but I've seen people rubbishing them. I don't think it's fair. I think Johnny Westwood had actually done a really good job since he stepped up to be head of recruitment. I think he deserves a lot of credit. We've signed a British Lion, 40 Wales caps plus. Dylan Lewis, people moan about him. He's got 50 caps plus for Wales. We have signed Russia International, Thomas Young.
A massively respected player.
Oh, Thomas Young, I said at the time, there was an article in that great paper, Wales Online, back in December saying, you know, Cardiff Star sought after by Gallagher Prem teams and they're struggling to keep hold of him. Everyone was like, everyone's after him. He's awesome. We sign him.
Cardiff fans were saying, oh, no, we can't let him go. Can't let him go.
Yeah.
We need to keep him.
And then we sign him. Oh, he's a bit old. It's like, no, he's quality.
I know. I mean,
I think the recruitment's honestly better than I thought. Because I thought, who are we going to attract? We're signing people with a lot of international experience. They are 100% adding to the team, and all of the signings will be either first choice or pushing to be first choice, which, to be fair, was what David Wright promised, and he's delivering on that at the minute.
No, he is, and fair play. You know, like I said, I think supporters and other people need to understand where the Dragons are and how difficult it is for a club of our reputation to sign players. We are not attractive to a lot of good players. We're not. But I think we've done pretty decently in the recruitment window.
Yeah.
They are better. Every player coming in is better than what's leaving so far. The question is, though, I can understand why there is some skepticism because the Dragons do not have a good track record with recruitment. And again, I think that's stuck in people's heads now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And after the recruitment disaster of the summer, then I can understand why people are skeptical. You know, I don't know how good guys like Levi Douglas is going to be. He could be good. He could be awful. Tina Stabia, I like Tina Stabia. I agree with what Dan said last week. I don't know if he's going to be an out-and-out starting 10. I like him a lot, but he has got weaknesses. Me personally, I would like us to sign another 10, but I don't think that's going to happen. Just for a bit more reassurance. And I don't particularly want to keep Lloyd Evans. Although, to be fair, he did okay against the Bulls. But in an ideal world, I think we need another 10 for a bit more reassurance. But
we need a better 10 would be my take. If attack needs to improve, then the pivot needs to improve.
Tell you what, watching Lloyd Evans, and fair play, the last couple of games, he's at least put it about and looked hungry in defence.
Playing for a contract?
Playing for a contract. He looks like that. The one thing, like, he's come from Gloucester, who, you know, play great rugby and have always played a certain sort of brand of rugby. And sometimes you watch him and he carries the ball a lot. He runs sideways a bit with it, but he's looking for runners. And there aren't any. Like, we just don't offer him anyone. And he ends up just getting scragged or clobbered. And you're like, he ends up looking a bit daft. But sometimes I think, well, are we actually working off this guy? What did we do in pre-season with him? Surely he hasn't just changed his game. Like,
I think that's the $1 million question, isn't it? What did we do in pre-season?
did we own, like, yeah, I don't know. So do you know what? If you think of players like him going out of contract and Kai Evans as a 10-15 cover, and Lloyd Evans played a lot of 15 for Gloucester, I'd probably keep Lloyd Evans, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if you're going to make a choice between the two, I think I would. And to be fair, yeah, he did okay out in South Africa, but I want to see more of that in the season. I have been underwhelmed by him, but
he
we'll
was
see.
okay when in the first block as well. It was just his goal kicking again, which is the curse of Rodney Parade at the minute, or anywhere else we play.
Yeah, fair enough. But to people being negative, can we just like give these guys a chance first before we criticize them? Because I think we've done all right in the signings.
Yeah.
Whether
really
they're good enough, whether they're good enough to elevate this Dragons team and push them up the table, no, that's a different matter. Yes, they're better than what we got, but the question is, are these guys going to elevate the Dragons? And that's a fair and valid point to make. But come on, don't be rubbishing some of these guys, because I think we've made some decent signings given where we are.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what people expect.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I totally agree. It's like, are we going to go and get Malherber or like?
Yeah, it's we know Seb Davis is going to be coming in.
Another solid signing,
and he's had 17 Wales caps when Wales were good, mind, not 17 Wales caps now. And would our locks who are leaving get 17 Wales caps? Well, no. They're not up to that quality. So it's an improvement. I want us to sign players that improve the side, and they're all doing that. I'm really pleased.
Yeah, but let's be honest, right? We all know who these guys are. There are supporters in our fan base who see them on Facebook and X, who it doesn't matter who we sign, they still complain. They're always going to moan. So we could sign even Etzebeth, Anton DuPont, Roman Intermac, Oxenche, and they still find reason to moan. Yeah. Some people are just like that. So I don't engage with them anymore, to be honest, because I just find it very boring.
I reckon Oxenche would love Newport.
It's a cake shop right across the road. It's Cake Lab. He'd love it. You could pop into Cake Lab every game. He'd be loving it. He loves cake. It's a perfect place for him. Right. Okay. So, yeah, those are the new signings. Now, departures. We've had a couple of significant departures. So, two club stalwarts announced their departures on the weekend before the Bulls game. Ashton Hewitt and Joe Davis. Big Joe. So 30-year-old Hewitt has made 131 appearances after making his debut in 2013. Hewitt is second in the club's all-time try-scoring charts with 37 tries. And Joe Davis made 137 appearances for the club during 12 years with the men at Gwent. Made his debut age 17. I didn't realise he was that young. Made his debut age 17 against the Scarlets back in 2013.
Did he come out to the academy, Joe Davis?
He was still a student in Newport High School.
Was he?
Yeah. He's been with the club a very long time. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys end up. I can see Ashton Hewitt playing for a team like Worcester or Coventry in the English Championship. I think Joe, maybe Super Rygbi Cymru, like he has played a few games for Pontypool, isn't he? Or maybe like Ampthill in the English Championship. That'd be decent. But
Ampthill are going into the third tier. They're going into National 1.
Are they?
Yeah.
It's been a tough season for him.
I can see Ashton go into MLR.
That'd be a good shout for him. So what do we think about Ashton? Are we surprised that Ashton is leaving? Because I must admit, I wasn't sure if he was going to get a new deal, but I was slightly surprised when that statement came out, because a lot of people thought that he was announcing his retirement. But he's not retiring. He's still carrying on. He still wants to play, so he hasn't retired. But there's a player who's been absolutely ravaged by injuries over the years. He would have and should have had international honours. He was in the Wales camp twice and had to pull out, once through concussion, and then he had that training ground collision with Elliot D, which ruled him out. Do you remember that? He's had terrible luck. But it just feels like the end of an era now, doesn't it, with these homegrown players?
Yeah.
Moving on, because we've lost Jack Dixon, we've lost Ollie Griffiths, Leon Brown.
There's not many Newport boys in the club now, really, is there?
It does feel like a change in the guards now. that's how it feels to me. You know, boys who have been there for years, Gwent boys through and through. They're moving on, and maybe it's for the best because some people have said, well, given the injuries that some of these lads picked up, maybe we should have released them sooner. I think that's a fair point to make, but it's still pretty sad, isn't it, when you see guys who you just associate with the club who have been there for a long time, come through the academy, they're now moving on. So how do we feel about Ashton moving on then?
Yeah,
yeah,
go on, Gav.
No, go on. Please do.
Yeah, I was sad. It's easy to forget how good he was because of the injuries. We know we've not seen the best of him the last couple of years, and that's through no fault of effort. It's just down to injuries. But I remember looking back at a game. There was a time, probably just as he was getting in the Welsh squad, that it was like sort of him and Owen Lane vying for that sort of final wing spot in the Welsh squad, and he literally had Owen Lane on toast. The Lane train, he had him on toast. He was going round him. And I'm just absolutely like loving it. He was just ripping him to shreds, going up the wing on the terrace. I was just like, he just really was electric for that period of time. He had a bit about him. Well publicised for all the great work he's done off the field as well. Massive respect to him. I think he's almost an icon in Newport. I think he's a great guy. Going to be missed. So I was really sad to see it, but at the same time, I do think it's right.
I do as well.
I think I don't want us to be sentimental as a club. I'd like them to, invite Ashton to games, get him in the box. Great. He's always welcome at Rodney Parade. But as a club and as a rugby playing staff, let's not be sentimental with players now. We need what's best to get results on the field.
I think that's fair enough. I really do. I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but definitely wish him all the best. Gutted he couldn't get that try to sign himself off. And also, I'm a little bit gutted that the way the season's fallen, that we couldn't say bye to these players properly. I don't know whether anything will happen at the start of next season, but you kind of want to have a fresh start. So I'm not sure that'd be the best thing to do. But it's... Yeah, I feel like I would have liked to have given Ash a good proper send off, and he did actually. I had a thought he was going to leave. Was that our last home game? Ulster. Was that our last home game?
Yes, I believe it was.
Yeah, he last home game at Rodney Parade. And he was subbed off, and he literally walked along the terrace and sat rested on the hoardings and the boardings and watched the rest of the game with the terrace behind him. And I sort of thought, is he sort of taking this all in as a last sort of hurrah? So I had an inkling then maybe, but yeah, sorry to see him go in some ways, but it is right for the club.
Yeah, and you talk about players not getting a proper send off. Team Basham.
Yeah.
What a low key end to his Dragons career because he's been injured.
Yeah.
We haven't given him a proper send off, and we're disappointed to lose Tane. We understand the reasons why he's leaving, but he's a Gwent boy. Welsh International, and we haven't been given a chance to properly say goodbye to him. It feels like a very low-key exit, doesn't it? So that's disappointing. So the leavers list is out this week because it's probably be out on Monday. So who do we know for certain that's leaving the club? So Tane Basham, Dane Blacker, George Knott, that hasn't been confirmed, but he is going to Cardiff, out injured, of course, with a knee injury.
That's a shame.
It is. He's been a good player. I got a lot of time for George Knott. I think Cardiff, I've seen Cardiff fans get quite snooty about signing him. They don't think he's good enough for them, but I think he's a solid, hard-working, dependable player.
Good player.
But yes, he's been good for us. I'm sure he'll be.
He's a squad player.
He's a squad player, yeah. But that's what you want, Gav, isn't it? You
need depth. Yeah. He's a depth chart player, as they say in NFL.
He's a very dependable player. I like him. Dan Lydiate, of course, as we know, he's going to be doing the coaching.
Yep.
Josh Thomas, remember him? The fly-half that was signed from Cardiff. Cardiff fans were raving about him. He was an unused substitute against Ulster, and he played 40 minutes against Edinburgh and then got injured. Never saw him for the rest of the season. He's going to Coventry.
I don't want to laugh at him being injured, but
it's on brand. It's the Dragons brand. It's on brand. And then, of course, Ashton Hewitt and Joe Davis. So we wish them all the very best. Like I say, it'd be interesting to see where guys like Ashton Hewitt and Joe end up. And we wait and see on the leavers list, who else is on there. But it does feel like a change in the guard and a bit of a clear out, doesn't it?
Who do we think's likely on it? Kai Evans?
Kai Evans is out of contract. Obviously, Lloyd Evans is out of contract. I think Josh Reynolds would be moving on. I just speculating now. I don't know about Jordan. Has he got another year left? I mean, he
I
has
don't think so.
barely played this season.
He's actually not played a minute this year, is he? I think he's one of only 2 unused players.
Really?
I'm sure I read, yeah.
I thought he was like in the squad for one of the games. Maybe he didn't come off the bench, but I kind of feel like
He's
was
been playing
electric back in
SRC
the day,
mainly,
wasn't he?
hasn't he?
Sorry?
He's been playing SRC mainly, hasn't he?
He's played a few games for Pontypool.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he was electric, but yeah, I think it's definitely time to move on.
He had a really nasty ligament injury, didn't he? Remember? He was out for like 18 months, and ever since, I don't think he's been the same. But when he first joined us from Bristol Mind, he was very good, very pacey. Yeah. Good player back in the day, but not now.
I know Jared signed, but Ewan Rosser, I'm not sure whether he's under contract.
I think he is, yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he's the kind of player we'll want to hold on to, I'd imagine, isn't he?
So we'll probably keep one of Lloyd or Kai Evans, do you think, as 10-15 cover?
It all depends. I think one of them's going to go.
Yeah.
But if we're looking for a new fly-half, which I don't think we will be, the easiest option is to keep Lloyd, isn't it? You just offer him another one. Like, we signed him on a 1-year deal. The easiest option is go, well, okay, we'll give you another year then.
And he's not injured.
Yeah, and he covers 10 and 15, doesn't he? But yeah, so okay, that's that. Then we'll wait and see on the leavers list. But to all the players leaving the club, we wish you all the very best.
Yeah.
Right then, it's time for a Gwent Rugby Roundup, and it was the all-Gwent Super Rugby Cymru final today between Ebbw Vale and Newport. Come on then, Gav, tell us all about it. What happened?
Newport won.
Well done, Newport. Congratulations to Ty Morris.
27-18 winners in a game they deserved to win, to be honest. Ebbw Vale looked very disjointed, I thought, and kicking was awful. Some of the, apart from Griff Tuff's outlandish crossfield kick.
I love that name, Griff Tuff. I love that name.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
But apart from that, Newport were stronger everywhere. And I've seen Jack Lloyd play before, but he had a great game.
He did.
Electric running. And, it was interesting to see lots of young Dragons prospects playing against each other. And, less young prospects like the Franchi brothers who've been at Ebbw Vale a very long time. But Newport were really well organised, therefore, and they did it off the back of a backpedaling scrum most of it, because Ebbw Vale did dominate the set piece. Yeah. But just when the ball got wide, Ebbw Vale just could not defend, and then poor kicking, poor discipline just put them under more pressure.
Yeah, the kicking game was very poor from Ebbw, particularly in the first half. Wasn't it?
It was very poor. Like shanked kicks, poor choices, kicks not going out, kicks going out on the full. I thought the try that was disallowed, which was rightly disallowed because it was forward, that was try of the season stuff. That was.
It would have been really good. Our attack coach, Matt O'Brien, flew from South Africa after the Bulls game to play in this game. He came off the bench, his first touch, and he mistouched, didn't he?
He did.
He kicked it out on the full.
He talked about it, didn't he, on the SLC coverage? He was talking about, I flew in last night. They didn't upgrade me.
No. But yeah, I thought it was a really good game, actually. Very entertaining. I think Newport were the better team. Jack Lloyd is Yohan Lloyd's brother.
I was going to mention him.
No. Yeah. Now, I have heard a lot of really good feedback. He's clearly very talented. There are some question marks, though, about his size.
Yeah, he's tiny, isn't he? But electric.
And a few people have said that he's got a lot of work on. But I just wonder, are the Dragons looking at him? Because I think they should be. I know he has trained a few times with the Dragons.
Wasn't he brought in to Newport, but also, going to train with the Dragons?
He has trained with the Dragons, but I don't know if he's like on their books. He's with Newport. But I'm just wondering, are the Dragons, is it worth like just getting him on an academy deal or something like that?
I've got no problems with him being small if you can get a backline going.
He looks
which he did today.
Yeah,
I know it's SRC, but he looked good. He made a very probing runner. His try he took really well. And he's a good player. It's at that level.
It's
But
SRC, but it's also SR, it's the final. It's a high pressure game, really. That's what it's there for, isn't it? To see if these players have got the mettle to do it.
Good crowd as well.
It was a good turnout, lovely weather as well. That would have helped.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really enjoyable game. Gareth, did you watch it?
I watched the second half. Yeah, it looked good. I was good. I couldn't make it up there. One thing I was good because of all the Dragons injuries. It's a shame we didn't have say Harry Rees-Weldon and Shea Hope playing for their respective sides as well. That's where they've been, isn't it? Newport and Ebbw.
That's right.
Two.
Yeah.
It's a shame they weren't there as well, because I think it would have been better for them to experience a SRC final than just shadows in South Africa, to be honest. But
no, I don't know, because I think scrum half wise, Ebbw Vale have had Griff Tuff.
Oh no, sorry,
or John Davies.
For Newport.
Hope is Newport and Harry Rees-Weldon on the wing.
From Ebbw Vale. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, I Jack Lloyd was the one I wanted to mention, really, pick him out, because I think that's the type of player I want to see. It is a step up, and I think playing 10 for the Dragons is one of the hardest positions in rugby.
Oh God, yeah.
You're getting crap ball. It's just crap everywhere. It's just hard work, but he's exciting, and I think
there's something about him, isn't there? And apparently, he ran rings around Cardiff in their semi-final at the Arms Park. He was I think he was playing with a match there as well.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you watch a player and you just think you've got something. Yeah. He's definitely got something about him, and I think I want to see more of you. So it'd be interesting.
No, and best team won it. 2 Gwent teams in the final.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's a good thing, isn't it? It's but my season of misery in sport continues apace.
I am sorry, Gav, about that. Because the thing is, I'm not really a Newport supporter, but obviously, I do follow him. I'm born in Newport, and I've been living in Newport for a long time now, and I want to see him do well. But I like Ebbw as well, and it would have been great if Ebbw won, just to make you happy, because I know you've had a wretched season, sporting wise. Southampton, Hastings,
my own rugby club.
I know. Oh dear.
The under 11s I coach have done well. Other than that, I've not had a good season.
No,
but
okay.
Also have something from the Dragons All Stars.
Yes.
Fantastic evening at Rodney Parade on Wednesday with Dragons All Stars, as they remain unbeaten at Rodney Parade after their 35-25 victory against Swansea Gladiators. Special shout out to our very own Christian Hyde. One hell of a shift, expertly guided, as he's blind, by George Knott.
Oh, he's a good egg, George Knott. See,
yes.
This is what I was talking about before. He has done so much community work for the Dragons, and they're going to miss him. He's a good guy, George Knott. And Cardiff again a good one. I know Cardiff fans a little bit thing about it.
He was another 100%er for me.
Yeah.
And sorry, this is slightly off on a tangent, Gav, jumping in, but George not being 100%er, and no, we talked about comings and goings, but I've had it from a Dragons player off a reliable source that they said the reason he thinks, this is coming from a current Dragons player, the reason he thinks we lose so many games is some players aren't given 100%. And you think that is, like, when I hear that, I just felt a bit sick. So I think I pay money to go watch, and some players aren't given 100%. So I'm hoping we're not retaining those sort of players. But George Knott, for me, was 100%er, and I am really, really sad to see him go. And just good guy.
Because there were rumours that a player said recently at an awards event the same thing, that some boys, they felt that they weren't putting in 100%. I've heard this a couple of times now from different people.
That is concerning, isn't it?
It makes you wonder.
It really does.
It makes you wonder.
It must be frustrating for the players that are given 100%.
But then that comes down to coaching then. Why haven't they, done anything about it? If they can see they're not pulling their weight in training, why haven't they had words of them then?
Yeah.
It comes down to the coaching and culture, doesn't it? So more question marks there. So, moving on then. Congratulations, Newport, Time Horses men. Yeah, they deserved it, didn't they? They've been good all season. Commiserations to the Steel men as well. A very enjoyable final. And 2 Gwent teams in the final. That's great, isn't it? It's just great for Gwent rugby, to be honest. Right then, let's move on to listeners' mailbox. So we've asked listeners to get in touch, give their thoughts on the season and any questions. So let's kick off then. Jason Alford says, our coaching setup needs serious addressing. It's not right, and it won't be right for next season. I've got no magic answer, but something has to give from above. Chris Lanigan says, so glad it's over now. Draw a line under the season, announce a few more signings, and then have a summer of misplaced hope again. Very true, Chris. Yes. He says next year we definitely have to win more home games. And if we do have a bad start in the league again, I would generally target a Challenge Cup run. I feel like Philo's mix and match selection in Europe cost us a chance. Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah. I think Philo got his selection wrong in the Challenge Cup, particularly in that Montpellier game. That's something we've spoken about, isn't it?
I was very verbal about that, and I stand by it.
Yeah, I think that's one of Philo's mistakes he's made as head coach. Let's treat the Europe with a bit more respect and gives fans something to look forward to with a run in Europe, you know. Mark Hayden says, we can't get any worse. No more excuses. Nathan Dark says, like many other long-suffering supporters, I'm embarrassed to the core about what's unfolded this season. Absolute shambles, he says. Tia doesn't even sound like he wants to be here. A total contrast to how he was as a player. If we see no improvement in the first block, the board will be absolute hypocrites if he's retained. I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying, because after Dave Flanagan got removed in that first block, what happens if, because we're on this run of losses, Philo's win percent, 6%, wasn't it? I think I said earlier.
Yeah.
What happens if we lose the first 6 games then? Is he going to stay, or, we got rid of Dye? So I kind of get where he's coming from. I get it.
I can't see it happening, though.
No, he won't. He won't. No. Nicola Bates gets in touch and says, new season, new start. Staying in the contest for the full 80 minutes will be key. That's a very good point, because the theme of the season was Dragons do okay for 50, 55 minutes, and then he just completely fell apart in the last quarter of the game. And I think that's down to mentality and fatigue. So hopefully that will be addressed.
Wasn't it the same the season before as well? That if we had, I'm sure there was a stat that Dai Flan gave, if we've knocked games on the head at like 68 minutes, we'd have won like 12 games.
Oh, rugby's an 80-minute game, and we're not learning then, are we?
That's it. It's the same problems year on year. So
that is not a helpful thing to say, really, though, is it? Because,
But it comes down to coaching. Keep saying it.
Yeah.
It's coaching. Matthew Williams has asked us a question. 2, actually. What do you think would be a success for the Dragons next season? Also, he asks, who is your player of the season? Gareth, I'll come to you. What would be a success for the Dragons next season, and who has been your Dragons player of the season?
So, success next season, and I know everyone wants us to turn into this awesome side, but honestly, if we win 4 home games in the league,
right,
and pick up during the season 8 to 12 bonus points in any form, which then indicates we are in the fight, we're staying in the fight in these games. I don't even think, like, if we don't win an away game, well, we don't win an away game. It's a tough league. I don't think I can put that down as doing well, but pick up bonus points on the road. So four wins in the league, wins in Europe on top of that as well, and picking up 8 to 12 bonus points, showing that we're in the fight in the majority of games, or scoring 4 tries, which would be nice to see. Did we do that this season? Did we score 4 tries?
Twice, I think.
Twice? Do you mean? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So yeah, it's there's not lofty heights, but that would be, well, I guess that would be satisfactory, really. And then if you want to go up beyond that of what would be like a great season, beat all 3 of the other regions at least once, get a win on the road, and get out your group in Europe as well. Rugby's a funny old game. You get a bit of momentum, and you can get on a bit of a run. Sadly, our momentum always goes the other way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I wouldn't be setting my sights too high. We're not going to be suddenly challenging top 8. But
and your player of the season?
Oh, do you know what? That's tough. So I think there's some players who every single time they've played have been great. Like Aaron Wainwright has been outstanding every single time he pulls on the shirt. He's so good that he almost won't get recognised as player of the season because, well, it's just Aaron Wainwright. He's awesome, so we expect him to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like Ben Carter, when he's played, he's been great, and we've really, really missed him.
Yeah.
Do you know what? But then someone like Brody, like the improvement, the fight that Brody's shown, he's to me like summed up the Dragons I want us to be. Brody's putting a lot of fight, and Shane Lewis-Hughes has been really good. How was our best signing? The bloke who's lost a finger. I mean,
yeah, the bloke who had his finger amputated.
Playing with a finger missing, and I said this to my old man, and my old man said, "Well, some of our players look like they got their hands missing." Oh, do you know, that's really tough.
Do you want to have a think about it? I'll go to Gavin and then have a think. So, Gav,
go on.
What's a success next season for the Dragons? What's your player of the season?
So if we won 5 games, I would be out in my garden popping champagne.
5 games. It's not much though, is it?
No, but I think from where we are, that would be massive. That'd be exponential kind of improvement. And that'll give us a starting point.
Fair enough. Okay. What about your player of the season?
Right. Well, the best player of the season has been Wayno. That's the correct answer. But my player of the season has been Jared Rosser.
All right.
So
he's been good, yeah.
It's just effort. Like Gareth has said, it's just effort. He's not the greatest player, but, he takes the very few chances that come to him. He always tries hard. He's not a 13, but God, he's always tried when he's in that position. Because I'm convinced if Philo said to him, Jared, can you play tight there? He'd be, yeah, that'd be fine. Mm-hmm. And he'd have a goal. And so, just by sheer level of effort and willingness and hard work, Jared Ross is my player of the season.
Okay, fair enough.
So I've made my mind up.
Ooh.
And it's not out of the 2 I mentioned. I'm going to Nyron Owen.
Yeah, he's been really quietly, solid. Brilliant.
He's actually absolutely quality, but he's also battled like no one else has battled in midfield. The state of him coming off. He always looks in hell of a mess.
Yeah.
He's had to burden a lot. He's captaining the side, which I think, God, just let the young boy play.
I still don't think we get the best out of him. This attacking system,
100%
I want him there as a playmaker. And there have been occasions where we've been using him as a battering ram and he hasn't got time on the ball.
Honestly,
he could be at such a really good playmaker in 12, and we're not getting the best of him because of this awful attacking system.
He plays at the Ospreys. He plays for Wales.
100%. And this is something that Squidge Rugby Robbie said to me.
Oh, yeah. He's so good. Also what a great guy. Like, just comes across so well. Just seems like again another guy I want the Dragons to be about. Massive fan of him. So yeah, Nyron Owen for me, player of the season.
Okay. So success for me is 5 league wins. I'm not exactly reaching for the stars here, lads, but we have to remember where the Dragons are right now, and to get 5 league wins would be pretty good improvement, you'd have to say. I would like to see us make the last 16 in Europe. We haven't made the last 16 in Europe for a couple of seasons now. And I want us to give Europe a good crack because, like I said, you get a knockout game of Ronnie Parade that gives supporters something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So, if you're struggling in the league, but you think, oh, well, we got a quarterfinal at home, I think there's a bit of buzz about it. And I don't like how Philo selected his teams for Europe. It was wrong. It was a mistake, and you'll learn from it, hopefully. So let's give the Challenge Cup more respect. And 5 league wins, I think, would be some sort of progress. Player of the season for me, I think it's between Brodie Coughlin and Nyron Owen. I think Shane Lewis-Hughes has been an excellent signing. I know he's not had a lot of attention, but I think he's been brilliant since he's moved from Cardiff, looked really rejuvenated. And he's played more than I thought. I thought he was going to be very injury prone, like he was at Cardiff, but fair play. I think we have got a few games out of him. My player of the season is Roger Williams. Nice. Because I think he's been consistently brilliant. He was excellent again against the Bulls. He got called up for Wales on the back of his performances. Every time he doesn't play for the Dragons, there's a drop-off. And that's no disrespect to Dane Blacker or to the young scrum halves, but you notice when Rodri's not playing.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I think we moved Dane on, because Dane never grabbed the jersey by the scruff of the neck when he started. And every time Rodri went off, I felt there was a drop-off. I don't think he added that zip. So for me, Roger Williams is going to be my player of the season because I know some supporters moan about his kick in, but without him, I think
it's
we look at
quality.
very different. You notice when he's not playing, and look how good that try was. Like I said, against the Bulls.
Yeah,
only
awesome.
Rodri could do that. Superb. So it was great seeing him back in the Welsh team, wasn't it? So he's just a very reliable guy. So Roger Williams for me.
Yeah, good show.
Okay. Mark Williams says, great pod, guys. Look forward to your program every week. Thank you, Mark. That's really appreciated. Right, Andy Harsack gets in touch. Well, he's got a list of demands. Andy is on one. He's got a long list of demands. So this is what Andy wants. He wants to see Dragons in the game for 80 minutes. He wants to see more home wins. He wants us to take the points on offer with a decent goal kicker. He wants us to push for third place, Welsh region. He wants a European Cup run, and he wants a line-breaking centre needed. And he also wants Dragons to sort out the coaching and the strength and conditioning department. Fair play, Andy. You don't want much, do you? Anything
he's
else?
Right. He's right, though. All those things are right.
I know he's right. It's just funny also. So we all agree. We want to see everything Andy has just said, don't we? I think that's fair enough.
100%.
Yeah. Fair play, Andy. What else have we got? Gav Coombs. He says the signings so far look good, but we cannot have another season like that. I don't think the region will survive it, he says. We must win some home games, especially against Welsh and Italian teams, and then if possible, finish above another Welsh region. That would be a very successful season. Fair enough, I guess. Andy Salter says, never mind a marquee player, we should be using the money to bring Stephen Jones back home to Wales as our attack coach. Yeah, he is doing a very good job in Super Rugby. Can you imagine having Stephen Jones as our attack? No, that would be a sign of intent from the owners. If they really want to, make a signing, a statement signing, bring Stephen Jones back home then.
I'd renew my ticket tomorrow if that was announced.
Yeah. So would I.
Very happy.
I think that would be a significant statement if they did that, but they're not going to, are they?
No.
No, it's a waste of time. Brian Cromwell says Dragons are lacking strong leaders on the park. Yeah, that's something that you've said constantly, Gavin, throughout the season. Lynn Feeney gets in touch. There's got to be something wrong with the way the team are training with all the injuries we have. Maybe less gym work and more basic rugby skills and fitness. They need to last more than 60 minutes mentally and physically. Roll on next season. Nick Foyle simply says fed up. That's it. 2 words, fed up. Yeah, fair enough. Straight to the point. Chris Jones says, let's hope next season is our year. The region turns things around. Yeah, it's hope that kills you though, isn't it? Michael Dempsey says, be positive. We can't get any worse. You'd hope not. Let's be honest. You'd hope we won't get any worse, but who knows? Christian Hyde mentioned him earlier. He says, now it's the time to breathe. For the new signings, it's time to look forward and get behind the only pro rugby team in Gwent. It would be great to see all those who attend games of Rodney Parade at away fixtures. They're touted for business on their away trips there. I think the supporters club. I know what Christian's doing there. Fair enough. Let's end on a couple of positives then. So Andrew Powell says, a lot of matches could have gone the other way, and hopefully they will next season. Onwards and upwards. And it's a fair point. We could all play this game of could have, would have, should have, but Sharks, Lions, Cardiff, Ulster and Scarlets, we were all leading in those games. We were all in winning positions. If we'd won those, we would have had 6 wins this season with the Ospreys win that we had. And we're talking about a very different conversation then, aren't we? If we're on here tonight talking about 6 wins, I think we'd all look and go, fair play, it's been a good season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, the fitness, the fatigue, the decision-making, the lack of quality off the bench as well, I think that's been a huge problem. No quality on the bench.
Yeah.
No impact whatsoever. That has killed us, and we have lost games that we should have beaten the Scarlets. We really should have beaten the Scarlets at Judgment Day. Ulster goal kicking Leverstone, Cardiff 15-5 up. Yeah, I know, like I said, all fans of the teams can say, well, we should have won this, we should have won that. But for us, we just got to be more clinical, haven't we? Because winning is hard enough as it is with this team. We got to do better. And then Jill Keane, finally, she says, I'm still joining for next season. Some good signings. We live in hope. Yeah, we live in hope. I think that's a good way to end it, isn't it? I think that's pretty good. Right. That is it, gents. Our final part of the season. It is done. It is over. Thank Christ. Is what we say. It has been a horrible season. And I don't ever want to have another season like this ever again, if I'm being honest. It can't continue, can it? It cannot continue like this. How optimistic are you guys for next season? Okay, that tells us everything. Silence. Fair enough then.
I was thinking, I don't know.
Cheers, Gav. Thanks for that analysis.
Well, right. Let's go back here, Jamie, right? We were both quite positive.
I was. Yeah, we were.
We were. So, I don't know. I'm not falling into the trap again.
Do you think we need to be more negative?
No,
Is that our first psychology thing? So if we're very negative, maybe we'll do better.
I just think we need to say, let's wait and see.
Yeah. I agree with you there, Gav. I'm in the camp of I keep getting carried away in my head. Oh, do you know what? I think we'll be all right. And then I'm like, hang on, I thought that before. And I keep bringing myself back down. We always live in hope. It's our team. I think one thing we'd all agree on is we want to have a better season. And, I'll be there giving my support as much as I can. I really hope as well the owners continue to engage. Buttress on Twitter is really good.
Yeah.
We were promised a Q&A with, I'm using this to hopefully get things now. We were promised a Q&A with Tia. That never happened. That needs to happen. I'd also really like to hear from the S&C coach. And I don't care if it's not the norm that S&C coaches don't speak to the media. I don't give a shit. We want engagement. And is there a reason behind the injuries? That'd be great to find out. But I just want to know what the plan is going forward. Like, if this season's done, it's done. What's the plan going forward? What are we doing about fitness? And what's the game plan looking like next season? I hope there's a good bit of engagement through the club in pre-season. I hope we do get a chance to meet the coaching staff and the new players. That would be great. That'll take all day because we're getting so many in. But yeah, I think that's needed. But yeah, hopeful, of course. Glad we've got a little break though.
Yeah, it's been tough doing this pod, talking about not just losses, but really bad, frustrating, sometimes embarrassing losses. I'm stepping away from that. I got Dan replacing me, so Dan's a coach from Abbott's, because I'm struggling to do the pods with the home lifer now, and I enjoy doing this, but it has been tough watching this team, talking about this team. I think we've got one of the best and loyal supporters in the URC. People like yourself, Garth, every year we're optimistic and every year we're let down. Let's be honest. Is there another rugby team on the planet that consistently lets down the supporters as much as the Dragons do? And yet, fair play, they renew their season tickets every single season. So many people would walk away and they stick with it. And I think sometimes the Dragons, they don't understand or appreciate just how important the supporters are, how loyal they are. And I think they really need to start appreciating and respecting that.
Because of the system we play in as well, it's like sometimes when you're in a club and they have a terrible season, they get relegated and you're at a better level and you have a much better season. We never have that because there's no relegation. We have a terrible season. And then the next season, we're in the same league again with the same clubs, and we haven't improved, and they all have.
That's the thing with our good signings. You want to be optimistic, but every club's trying to strengthen as well.
And I think that's the problem the Dragons will always have, because yes, we'll strengthen our squad, but so will other teams around us. And don't forget, we haven't seen what the other Welsh regions have done with their recruitment yet. They haven't finished theirs. So last season, we did our recruitment early, like we've done this season. And we were like, oh, actually, we've made some good signings. And then Cardiff did their recruitment. Josh McNally, Aled Davis. And you're thinking, oh, these are good signings. And then Scarlets did their recruitment. Magnus van der Merwe, Blair Murray, Ellis Mee. And you're thinking, oh, these are tidy signings. All of a sudden, you look at ours and you think, well, maybe our recruitment wasn't so good after all. So I want to see what the other Welsh teams do first before we start bigging up our recruitment. I'm not being negative about recruitment, but I just think we need to remember that other teams in the league with bigger budgets around us and the Welsh teams, they will recruit strongly and just as better. So I think we're always going to be left behind. But I just don't want another season like this. The supporters don't deserve it. They deserve some success. They really do. And let's hope for a better season, because as much as I enjoy doing this pod, it has become a struggle some weeks. It really does. And then they have to go on rap and say the same things on there. And that's depressing too. So, yeah, let's hope for a better season. Right. Final pod. That's done now. Gavin, Gav, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Are we going to do this again next season?
Yeah.
So? I
Yeah.
want that victory pod.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, all right then, fine. We'll go again. We'll go again. If you said no, mind, I'd be perfectly happy with that. I'm quite happy to knock this on the head. If you said, you know, I don't think I could do it. I'm perfectly fine with that, mind. We don't have to do this pod.
Do you know how sweet is it going to be when we start winning games after all the shit? It'll be, and we'll say we fucking deserve this. We deserve to enjoy this. If we start winning game, well, if we beat Cardiff, I might die. I'm out of so many points. It's going to be so.
I
so
would
good.
like us. I know. I would like us to win more than 2 games though next season.
Yeah.
Because victory pods are great, but we only had 2 of them on this pod this season, and that's just grim.
Genuinely, I don't know whether like. Do the owners realize how much it can affect your week? Like, you then listen to rugby podcast where it's them talking about us losing again, if they bother to mention us that much. And, you know, you're reading the paper reports, it's about us losing. It's just, it becomes tough. And when we win games, I love to watch the game back the next day. And that's that's a great thing to flip through. Like, I want to show my son the tries. Now I tell him we do win games. My 3-year-old thinks we're fantastic, so I just tell him we win, and tell him we play in blue half the time. But
you're gonna break his heart, mate.
Yeah, it's not it's not fun watching it back now though, and like it's like another week just ruined.
We're a terrible team to watch.
We are absolutely
a terrible
awful
team to watch.
There's no hope, and that's the saddest. We say the hope that kills you, but there's been no hope for the majority of the season. That is sad. That's what's really got
it's the
me.
lack of hope that kills you, not the hope. It's the lack of hope. I think
I love that quote.
I do, because it's true.
It's spot on.
True.
I'm happy to have my hopes dashed, but when I've started to at points this season not have any hope, that's because it felt sad. It's not how you want to feel about your club.
You're right. It does affect you during the week. I mean, I do support other sports clubs. The Dragons are bad for my mental health. They are seriously bad for. Honestly, it affects my mental health. They're that bad. But of course, I'll probably renew my season ticket.
Got you.
You will.
Yeah, I know.
And your county season ticket.
That's been a struggle as well, mind. That's been a struggle. Although I have to say, I have seen a lot more wins with county, even though we just finished above the relegation zone. But yeah, I've had a tough season sports-wise. My mental health has been really affected by it because it's hard work. It's really hard work.
I was trying to tell fair weather fans, sorry, we know we're going on, a couple of mates, they'll only watch Wales and then I get them to watch the Dragons. And they think rugby's crap. And I'm like, no.
No, they will do if they watch the Dragons.
Rugby's amazing at the minute.
Wales.
Attack is on top. Like, rugby's so good. But if you just watch Wales and the Dragons, you think, why does anyone play this or watch this sport? Like, oh, for fuck's sake.
The Dragons are not in good endorsement for rugby, are they?
No, they're really, really not. I'm going to the European final next Saturday.
Oh, nice.
It'll be like watching a different sport, wouldn't it? I'm like, why are they moving so fast? Look at him catching it.
Northampton, Bordeaux, or the Challenge Cup? Which final?
Northampton, Bordeaux. Yeah,
that'd be a good game.
Yeah, it should be really good. To be fair,
a mate of mine who's a Bordeaux fan was trying to convince me we should go up next weekend. I was like, no.
Right, we need to put this pod to an end now because we have. It's been a bumper pod. It's been long, but yeah. I'll try again now. Let's try this pod.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault. I prattled on as well. So, Gav, thank you so much for joining me this season. Especially you, Gav. You've been a solid signing. It did sound cringe when I said it last week, but you have. We get good feedback about you from one particular person.
And my brother is loud. I can agree with Dan when he mentioned that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been good having you on, and Gavin, thank you as always as well. It's been a pleasure. We have a laugh, don't we? Fair play. It's been tough, but we have a good laugh. And thank you to our friends of Riverside Sports Bar for their continued support of the podcast. And thank you to our listeners who've supported us and say nice things. And it's really appreciated because, like I always say, I did think when I first agreed to do this pod, we'd be talking to the void. maybe 1 or 2 listeners, but we do seem to have a loyal listener base. I get a lot of comments from people saying how much they enjoy it. We get Cardiff and Scarlets and Ospreys fans listening to us as well, which is it's nice. So yeah, we will be back for the new season then, it looks like. Until next time, however, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good summer. Ta-ra.
That was The Dragon's Lair in association with the Riverside Sports Bar Newport, an American-style bar with a proper Welsh feel.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.